In a small condominium in the Big Apple, in a Polish family, Danny and his mother host a betting salon. Their clients are usually vintage men beating on horse races. After the race ends, his mother collects and dispenses cash as for the wins and losses. Thereafter, they take a seat down for lunch, although it's simply of them. There's a third plate set out. Danny begins consuming, however, his mom stops him. She asks him to wait for the one-third person to sign up for. Danny is annoyed, however. Aiders to her simply. Then the cell phone rings. The caller states it's a gather call from a correctional facility by means of his brother Darren. Danny receives annoyed, however, takes the call and asks Darren his whereabouts. Darren informs him that he is in jail being held for misdemeanor, and he desires Danny's assist. He in addition explains that he has a deal occurring and needs Danny to fake to be him and move and deliver a briefcase. He reassures him that there is nothing to fear about. Moreover, it had earned Darren $1,500, which he desperately wishes. This makes Danny recognize it's a nefarious scheme, and so he refuses to get inside the middle of something Darren is into. But Darren asks to talk to their mom, and after hearing Darren out, his mother asks Danny to help him regardless of the state of affairs. Darren explains to Danny that he is supposed to satisfy a person at a unique location, accumulate the suitcase, get right into a car with them and exchange it with a female, preserving an inexperienced purse. Danny asks the name of who he is supposed to meet, however, Darren runs out of time on his call from the jail, and the warden disconnects the call. On the other aspect of Metropolis, a female, Ellie, gets on the teach without the price ticket. The price tag checker steps into the compartment, and seeing him, she rushes to the restroom. However, he catches her and asks her to get off the teach. She gets off and walks to a restaurant, wherein she meets with a person, Scott. They speak a job, and Ellie asks him for extra money for it, but he ridicules her demand. He informs her that she wishes to supply a briefcase, however denies knowing the contents. He gives her the auto keys to a purple Nissan and a burner cell phone. The subsequent morning, both Ellie and Danny rise up and get geared up for the day of their specific houses. Ellie arrives at the decided area and waits for Darren to reveal up. Danny takes half of a day off from his day task at a restaurant and walks all the way down to the place. He unearths the automobile and appears in her for the driving force. Ellie, who is standing close by smoking, seems at him and asks him if he is the man, as neither knows the opposite's call. Danny says yes, and she or he gestures to him to get into the auto. They head out to the region from wherein they need to acquire the briefcase. Each of them are a bit jumpy and uneasy. Danny may be very fearful, as it is his first time. Ellie is also a bit traumatic. Neither of them speaks, however the silence adds to the rising anxiety they both feel. Danny asks her if she is aware of the individual who is handing them the briefcase, and she denies it. They come and wait inside the automobile. By means of the slash, they look around anxiously. Simply then any person taps the window on Danny's aspect, the man instructs them to hold the automobile strolling and decrease the rear window and wait. The man rushes again, and the anxiety within the automobile is almost palpable as they watch for him to go back. A couple of minutes later, they listen in alarm going off. They both examine each different, at the verge of panicking. When the guy runs out of the car, he places the briefcase within the vehicle and runs away. They listen, someone shouting simply, as Ellie pulls out of the shrink and starts driving. Danny concerns that the individual chasing the man saw the auto plates. Ellie drives them to the train station, wherein Danny is alleged to trade the bag with the lady sporting the inexperienced handbag. Ellie wishes him luck as he receives out of the vehicle and drives off. Danny is going up the stairs to the platform as he steps out. On it, he spots a lady sitting there. With a teal inexperienced handbag, she nods at him. Like a normal nod, however, he misinterprets it as an acknowledgement of being the individual he is meant to trade the case with. As another train stops Danny units the briefcase down beside her PC case, which she has positioned down on the floor beside the bench, and takes the computer bag and receives on the educate. He's extremely frightened because the train door is closed. He spots every other female with a green man or woman sitting on some other bench with a similar briefcase beside her. He realizes his mistake, however, is not able to do something. As the train starts transferring, he looks on the lady frantically as she stares returned at him, harassed, complete, unpanicked. He waits for the teach to prevent at the next station and runs out the minute the doorways open. Ellie, on the other hand, parks the car, leaves the keys within the dash, and calls Scott to tell him the task is achieved. She disposes of the SIM card and walks away. Danny runs and arrives at the preceding station, searching out the girl whose bag he is conserving, but unearths her gone at the side of the suitcase. Just then, he spots Ellie Mountain climbing up the stairs to the station and methods her relieved. He attempts to ask for her assist, but she ignores him. Determined, he follows her as she turns and walks away. He dodges her, pleading for her to pay attention to him, and tells her approximately his brother Darren and how he wasn't even speculated to be there. He requests her to assist him. Ellie realizes how they are both in problem. He informs her, approximately handing over the bag to the wrong female. Ellie curses him and he blurts out that he failed to recognize whatever else aside from the $1,500 they were to be paid. Ellie is shocked to hear that, as she wasn't advised approximately the money she asks him for his cell phone to make a name, but he does not have a smartphone as he never paid the invoice. They run around seeking to get to a smartphone to make a name. On the other facet, Scott and his cronies are in a garden. Scott's accomplice Russell curses him for managing the task badly about the misdelivered suitcase. Simply then, Scott receives a name from Ellie. He asks her if they have got the case, and she or he gets mad at him for lying to her about the cash. Simply then, Danny reveals a prescription bottle with an deal with inside the laptop bag. She informs Scott that they could have a lead on the case, and he guarantees is to pay her the full amount she asks for, double, and he consents with a condition to convey Darren Danny alongside to fulfill them with the case, and she can take Darren's share too. She accepts. Danny is blind to everything. Ellie and Danny visit Grand Important Station. From there they take a teach to go to the girl's vicinity, based totally at the address referred to on her medicinal drug bottle. At some stage in the educate journey, Danny stares at Ellie, looking to determine out what she is about, whilst she pretends to study a book. As they get off, he shares his call together with her and asks approximately hers. She refuses to disclose. He accepts that, however, continues to DRW her right into a conversation until she relents and talks to him, approximately being from Pittsburgh and residing with a guy known as Ricky. Danny shares having a puppy lizard named Ricky. As a child they expand a kind of reluctant camaraderie as they walk through the upscale community looking for the female's residence. Danny attempts to engage Ellie in conversation. He shares his wish to grow to be a chef and go away from domestic, and the way he saw a task starting for a chef in Sacramento. He asks her about her lifestyles and what she does. She lies to him, approximately being a bartender. However, when Danny begins talking extra, approximately it, she receives defensive and blurts out that she worked at a strip club. Danny takes that in his stride, which makes her more upset and angrier, and she or he starts off of all, defending herself, pronouncing she become best a waitress and didn't sleep round Danny. Explains that he was simply curious. Danny is very innocent in his outlook toward the arena, whilst Ellie feels as though everybody is judging or the usage of her as they preserve taking walks. Ellie feels they are circling and tests one of the post boxes outdoor the house. Danny cautions her as it's far a crime to test through a person's mail simply than a man driving through, and an SUV stops and asks them about their purpose for being there. They try to lie their manner out of it, but he snidely shows calling the cops, and they make an apology and walk away. They finally find the residence. They ring the doorbell and a younger lady opens the door, tells them to accumulate it from the living room, and goes in. Ellie and Danny look at every other and marvel. Ellie asks Danny if it is the same lady, and he says the woman on the station became older. They stroll in cautiously. Ellie even calls out to the woman, but no person solution. She spots a pet lizard and calls Danny over. Ellie wonders aloud why parents allow kids to have pets that do not live very long, and Danny explains that maybe it is the way for mother and father to prepare youngsters to face extra difficult losses in the destiny. Ellie looks at him interestingly as they stroll across the house. Danny shares an interesting tidbit about lizards having an extended lifespan. Ellie asks him why his pet did not make it. He says it become due to his dwelling conditions. They are within the upstairs bedroom seeking out the briefcase or even the female who opened the door to them, however satisfactory neither. Simply then Danny spots the SUV guy driving to the house. He signals Ellie. They panic and try to go away, however the guy comes inside and they understand they're in his house. They disguise within the bedroom, and without a choice left they leap out the